Good morning. Today is Tuesday, June 9th. It is 8:30 a.m. and you are here for the Kent County Board of Commissioners Policy and Ops Committee. I call this meeting to order. Our first item on our agenda is public comment. If there's anyone here that would like to address the committee, please do so. You have no more than 3 minutes.
How y'all doing? I'm D. Jones, passionate entrepreneur and visionary, and I'd like to speak to y'all about something that happened at GRPS last night. So yesterday, after being recommended by GRPS's facility staff and the consultant firm that they hired, JLL, they actually chose the other organization, Common, something like that. So this other organization that's not here from our city, from our county, from our state, the local school district said that they like an organization that actually benefits the community, that is going to actually play into the infrastructure and enhancing and enriching our community and our school district, and they chose the other organization. So I'd like to say to Sarah, Jose, Eleanor, Amber, and Richard, that you guys sold out the community. You didn't go with the recommendations of the staff. Now, I'm not saying that our county board sold out the community through the ARPA process, because there were people that got recommended for funding and they didn't get that funding. But I've seen this story before, and I've said that to Richard, that I've seen this story before and the same thing happened. And so I just needed to say this publicly, so I say this at the Policy and Operations Committee, because I believe that the policy should work for our community, that you guys should not work for big businesses, that you guys shouldn't work for billionaires, that you guys should work for the constituents that you run, that you passionately speak to, that believe in you, that believe in the things that you say every day, the votes that you take that affect constituents all across this county. Because every single vote that you guys take, whether you live in this city or another city, those votes have an effect on our community. And so I'm so disappointed, y'all. We're not going to give up on this vision. The Stockton Community Hub is going to be a thing. Is it going to be at the Stockton School? Probably not. But I just like to say this publicly to y'all, because I've been so genuine. I've been the same person. It's people that said that they are disappointed in me about Bitcoin and me speaking out, but the Rothschilds and Rockefeller banking system isn't good for poor Caucasian communities, or Hispanic people, or Asian people, or Indian people, or black people, or the people who land this is stolen from, Indian people, or the history that's on every single bill that you slave to, people slave to. That's our history, African American history, African history. So I think it's really sad that people say that they like to see true change, somebody that can actually execute this vision. We had bankers, financial institutions, builders, developers. We really had a vision for changing our community, and our local school board sold us out for another organization that's not from our city, not from our county, not from our state, and can't even get to school until next year, and we had the funding to get it this year. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Dee. Is there anyone else that would like to address the committee? All right, seeing no one, we will move to approval of the minutes. Can I have a motion by Commissioner DeBoer, supported by Commissioner LeGrand? Any comments, changes, questions? If not, all those in favor of approving last meeting's minutes, please say yes. Yes. All those opposed, last meeting's minutes have been approved. We have 2 action items on our agenda today. The first is the prosecutor's office add 6 FTE assistant prosecuting attorney positions for a Michigan Department of Treasury local prosecutor support grant. Can I have a motion and support, please? Motion by Commissioner Steck, supported by Commissioner DeBoer. Al, maybe a quick.
Sure. Yes, we have been working hard for years to help the prosecutor get more funding for positions and other needs in the office. As you know, our prosecutor and many prosecutors around Michigan are unhappy with what they view as inequality between the number of positions they have in public and the public defender's office has. Of course, there's good reasons for that. I'm not going to go into a lot of detail. However, it's fairly clear to me that they do need additional positions. We and others were successful in lobbying for this at the state level. And then it hit a snag because there was language that didn't work in the House bill, and that delayed it a long time. So finally, the money has been freed up, and we should have a contract in hand any day now. The prosecutor had asked us if he could get the jump on it and advertise, because the market's really tight for attorneys right now, for all positions. And so we said, yes, you can. And they exceeded their expectations. They got 6 very solid candidates. And so we're just trying to work with the prosecutor on timing. Obviously, we won't be hiring people until we have the signed agreement from the state, and it is a reimbursement agreement anyways. And so I think this is all going to work out good.
All right, commissioners, comments or questions? Minority Vice Chair Faber.
Thank you, Chair. A couple questions. So in the grant application, there were 3 additional positions called out for these dollars, and I don't know why those aren't part of the resolution. So there was 2 advocates and 1 investigator position. So ultimately, with this grant, we'd be approving 9 FTEs instead of 6.
Oh, right, yes, there'd be 6 attorneys and then 3 other positions that have not been advertised for yet.
So why isn't that part of the resolution?
Yes,
Yeah,
I would,
please.
Amy. Please help.
Good morning. The prosecutor plans to hire the attorneys first and then kind of in a phased approach, look at the other positions as part of phase 2. That would happen probably like the beginning of next fiscal year. So we will be back with another action request to add those 3 positions. I think they also want to make sure that they have a good handle on what the pay and benefit costs will be for the attorneys, so they have some level of confidence that they have enough money left in the grant to fund all 3 of those additional positions.
Thank you. And then, so it's my understanding this was sort of approved in 2 installments to get us to over the $4 million mark, but it's for a 4-year time period. Is that? am I
Yes, that's
tracking?
right. So there are 2 grants. I believe one is for fiscal year 2024 and the other for fiscal year 2025, or maybe 25 and 26. And yeah, each of them is 4 years.
Okay. And then I think, the concern that's always on everyone's mind is this grant is a one-time deal, and now we've hired potentially 9 additional FTEs that we have to cover with general fund dollars. Do we have any assurances or any thoughts in terms of what, and I think it's a little odd too that it's coming through the Treasury. I don't quite understand that part of it, but what's as you're reading the tea leaves, do we feel like this is going to be consistent funding for the prosecutor, maybe gets baked into the budget in a different way? Just any insight in that regard would be helpful. Thanks.
Yeah, do you want to?
Yeah, I mean, we fought hard to get it, and we'll fought quite hard to make it part of the budget. The legislator we've talked to, I think that's the intent, but there are no guarantees in the state of federal government financing, and that's why we have that sentence at the end. This says the funding is eliminated, the positions go away unless the board would act differently. And so that's the same as we do with every single grant fund position. Certainly, we're not going to just call this a victory and go home. We're going to keep working this constantly, lobbyists on it constantly. So our intent is to make it. Other counties' intent is to make it. Legislators we've talked to, but there are no guarantees.
Great. Thank you so much for the explanations.
Commissioner Steck.
Thank you, Chair Burrow. So one of the things that I know that we've been trying to obtain is something closer to parity between the caseload that the prosecutors handle versus the public defender. Does this get us to that parity?
I don't have an answer for that. I don't know exactly where that gets us in terms of parity, but it gets us 17% closer. I mean, it reduces the caseload per prosecutor by 17%. So it is significantly closer.
So
I
that,
can get you the exact comparison.
well, I guess, and Chris isn't here, but I assume that this was his request to the state, a grant request. So I guess I was assuming that he has looked for parity and hoping to get parity, and if it gets 17% closer, great, but
I think the trick is in how you define it, because there's more cases that the prosecutor handles than what a public defender's office handles.
right.
But the ones a public defender handles have more steps baked into it per state law. So, I'll ask him, about where he believes he is in parity and send that out to the board, but I don't have the definition
Okay.
nailed down for it.
Well, again, I'm sorry, I assume that these are ambiguous comparisons, but it starts with a prosecutor saying, here's what I think I need for parity. And I'm assuming, the way I read this, is that his full request was granted by the state.
Do you want to?
Well, my understanding is the state had a pot of money. And
Yeah.
they created a formula based on the number of crimes.
Oh, so this was not Chris going back saying, here's what I need
No,
to,
the top
okay.
15 counties per the crime index in Michigan got the money. And we're hanging in there around 7 or 8, as I recall.
but didn't we have to ask it? Didn't we have to say, oh, thank you, we need this?
Once the legislature acted, then we had to do an application. Josh worked on the application with the prosecutor's office, and that's where we detailed how many positions and then what they plan to do.
Okay, all right.
Local funding. So-
Well, I assume he's happy with this at any rate, but,
I should also say, I see this as kind of a natural result of having a healthy, active public defender's office, because there's fewer cases settled, there's more cases go to trial. That's gonna put more pressure on the prosecutor's office and create a need to staff up to meet more of a parity, or however you wanna define that. So, to
Okay.
me, I've seen this happen before, and I think it's more of a natural outcome.
well, and I support it. I mean, I think you're right, I mean, we need to do this, but still some concern about, are these funding sources connected in some way, so that if there's addition, for example, we know that we're going to be looking at some point here, potential public defender funding in the juvenile arena. What is that going to do? Are they connected such that we can anticipate that if the state does one on the public defender side, we can see something happening on the prosecutor's side?
Completely unconnected.
Great.
And I'll also say that right now, there's a proposal in the legislature to create a whole nother board, like another MIDC for neglect and abuse. So, anyway.
All right, well, that's another question for another day. So the other question I have is, where are we then in the overall balance? We know how many of our prosecutors are now at the mercy of this state funding stream versus our own funding stream?
Well, beyond these 6, I know we get crime. I'll have to check that.
Yep.
Or maybe you might know, okay.
I'm pretty sure that these would be the only ones that were funded by the state. I think there are some that are funded by federal dollars, but I believe that's the case. Perhaps there is a special program that the prosecutor has that helps to deal with paternity issues, having to do with the non-custodial parent.
Enforcement,
Maybe
non-custodial
potentially,
obligation.
yeah, right. So that could potentially be funded with state dollars, but it's a long-standing program that's had a very stable funding source.
I'm pretty sure that's not through the Treasury's office.
Yeah, no.
Okay. Well, and I share the concern of others that you do these 6 and 5 years, 4 years from now, political winds change and we don't have it. That's frustrating, but that's not your job, Al, I understand.
Partly my job.
Well, you'll go fix it.
All right, any other commissioner comments or questions? If not, we do have a motion and support on the floor. This will go to full board this coming Thursday. See no other questions. All those in favor, please say yes.
Yes.
Yes. All those opposed? That has been approved and will go to board on Thursday. Next item brought to us by the Administrator's Office, appointment of Chief Medical Examiner and Deputy Chief Medical Examiners. Al? Oh,
Yes.
Can I get let me get a motion and support, please. Motion by Commissioner DeBoer, supported by Commissioner LeGrand. Al?
Yes, so as you all know, Dr. Cole has served us long and well. He has achieved some national acclaim as a pathologist, and he has decided that he would like to go partly retire into part-time work. And of course, also, Dr. DeYoung has been filling in as a deputy medical examiner, and yet she's a dean of a medical school at Michigan State. So I think she's eager to also maybe do a little less of that. And so the MSU ran a very robust process to hire a medical examiner, and 3 top candidates were interviewed and spent a whole lot of time with Michigan State going through various things. I did have the opportunity to interview all 3. Chair Green sat in on one of those interviews as well. And Michigan State has decided to hire Dr. Amanda Fisher Hubbard as our chief medical examiner. She's currently with WMed in Kalamazoo County, that partnership as a deputy medical examiner. And also, she has already decided that she would like to bring on Dr. Nicholas Kostelecki as her deputy medical examiner, also from the WMed school in a deputy medical examiner position. Both are outstanding candidates. We sent the resumes out last week, and per state law, this board has to appoint a medical examiner and any deputy medical examiners at least every 4 years. We did this a few years ago, and we highly recommend that you recommend appointment of chief medical examiner and deputy medical examiners to the Board of Commissioners.
Excellent, thanks, Al. Any commissioners' comments? Commissioner Bujak.
Thank you, Chair. I guess this is for Al. Can you give us an update on where we stand with the shift from the county having complete oversight of that medical officer's operation, and how we're now shifting to a partnership with the university?
Since October 1 of 2025, Michigan State University has been in complete charge of the medical examiner function. So they're a partner, they contract with us, we work with them. You'll recall that was a 1-year contract. We have another draft contract. I'm not sure if it'll be 1 year or more. There's a lot that we're still working out, but they're in this for the long haul. Dr. DeYoung has a plan to create a MSU Forensic Sciences Institute, and that's receiving a lot of positive acclaim, I think. And so ultimately, I think this will be a lot bigger than the Kent County Medical Examiner.
And are we still operating out of the same place, or have we moved that?
We are, and we have another option that we're getting very close on.
Okay, that's what I want to know, what the other option.
Yes.
Thank you.
We did not recruit them here thinking they'd be there.
Yeah. No, they wouldn't come.
No, they wouldn't. Commissioner Steck.
Thank you, Chair Burrows. Following up on that question, I'm concerned or interested about what the plan for the capital process. We had committed, I think, $6 million of ARPA funds at one point for purposes of building a new medical examiner facility, morgue slash.
And we did add to that.
Yeah.
We
We didn't take from it, you mean?
We're in negotiations with a building owner for a property, and we should be able to move soon, I think, on
Is that still going to be on us, or is our partner going to cover the cost of that?
it.
Not clear.
If it's just a medical examiner function, then it's us. But if the building needs to be bigger for the institute, then it will include them in more of that sort of
Right.
role.
And that's part of our negotiations with them.
Right.
So the other question I have is, if the statute requires that we appoint a medical, that the Board of Commissioners appoints the medical examiner and approves the contract, does the Board of Commissioners have any ongoing obligation to oversee or validate that the medical examiner is performing consistent with the contract?
I mean, I think like everything, yes. I mean, the MSU contracts with Kent County, so Kent County has oversight of that contract. That is something that the Administrator's Office does on behalf of the board, and I'm accountable to you for that.
So if the medical examiner is not performing the way we like, what do we do about that?
I think you would contact me, get our office involved, and we would work with MSU to resolve it.
Okay. So we do have ongoing oversight, supervision,
Yes.
responsibility directly as the Board of Commissioners.
Yes,
and then we act through you.
Right.
Yeah, okay.
All right, other commissioners' comments or questions? All right, seeing none, we do have a motion and support on the floor. This will go to full board on 6/11, this coming Thursday. All those in favor, please say yes. Yes. All those opposed, that has been approved. Long time coming, our first step, I know my 5.5 years, that's all, we've talked about this a lot. So, 2 new medical examiners, a building in the future. Dr. Cole's going to think it was him, not us. So it's going to be exciting to put these folks in a new building in the future as well. Any other commissioner comments? Minority Vice Chair Faber. Got to say that nice and slow.
It's coming, it's coming. I think some of us were at the ribbon cutting for the childcare center at the Rapid Central Station, a new partnership model. The report that was issued by the Kellogg Foundation that sort of described how that project came together and various hurdles that delayed it by 3 years. Had some really interesting sort of takeaways regarding policy and how to improve how the public sector can work with the private sector and nonprofits to get these projects across the line, and different roles that can be played. And it might be worth taking a quick look at that as a group, as the county, to think forward how we can continue to support these kind of efforts. Everything from struggles around building codes to, reusing property for a different purpose than it was originally intended, to how do we, as we think about investing even in our own facilities, free up space and maybe some reduced costs to groups that are carrying forward our outcomes and our vision, but helping them get their kind of leg up to do that. So I think there was about 10 takeaways that had, some real policy kind of implications and thoughts for, I think, government partnership moving forward. So thought it, in addition to celebrating the success of that project, I think benefiting from some of the key learnings, thinking how new innovative projects can be realized moving forward.
Thank you. Commissioner Steck.
Thank you, Chair Bro. Just perhaps to follow up on that, a reminder that the county's Child Care Task Force is about ready to generate a report, which I suspect will then create an opportunity for those kinds of conversations.
All right, any other commissioners' comments or questions? All right, seeing none, I think, I know we were hoping not to have this or the next meeting, but I do believe we do have items that will be on the agenda for our meeting, our next meeting here in June. So we will be having that. I think there's at least one I know will not be here. If you're not, if you would just send Taylor and I an email, just so we have a general idea of count during the busy summer season, just so we know we're not running into quorum issues. We would greatly appreciate it. All right, seeing no other commissioners' comments or questions, meeting is adjourned. Thank you very much.